What does a follower count mean to you? Does it mean this person's likable? Does it mean this person's videos are funny? Does it mean that this person probably has a lack of a social life, that they're pouring so much into this? Like, what does it mean? What does society tell us? What does society tell us that it means? It equates to brand deals. We can only work with micro influencers. Okay, what determines a micro influencer? How many followers you have? Okay, what if they're a good person? Well, are they influential? How do you deem influence? Oh my God. This is. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Wait, it's not that deep.
Hey, and welcome back to Not That Deep. Thank you guys so much for joining me. The last episode we had was with the Foreplay co-founders, Danielle and Julie. I felt like I could have talked to them for a very long time. I think that it's so special when you meet someone and you feel like conversation could go on forever, talking about nonsense. I mean, granted, I still had a lot of questions for them. I think I had said when we were talking, I didn't want to get into the nitty gritty of the app design, the logo, the colors, but all of that stuff is so interesting because those are all conversations that have to be had when you're building a business. But obviously, the bulk of the episode was going to be about their dynamic and how this came to be really short form. I mean, you could probably write a book on it, but I think it was really inspiring to hear two people, specifically in healthcare, work in tech, work in the dating app space. I don't know if that's an actual space in life, but I was really impressed by them. And I don't know, I thought it was a really enlightening conversation. And I'm so happy that now I have them as friends. We got food after. I'm like, because we got food after, that means that we're friends. I do think indulging in a meal with someone makes you friends. Like, what's a time when you're indulging in a meal with someone and you're like sworn enemies? Maybe if you're on like death row and you're eating with your opponent that also got you into death row and you both are eating like your death row meal. I guess that's a time when you would eat with your enemy. Stupid. My death row meal is linguine alla vongole, which for the hearing impaired, that is spaghetti with white clam sauce. I don't know when I first had this, but you either like it or you don't. It's not something that if someone gets, you're like, I'll have a bite. No, I feel like you're either die hard for spaghetti with clam sauce or you're like, I'll have the chicken parm. There's some people who really love it, me and other people. But linguine with red clam sauce, I find criminal. Red sauce and seafood do not mix. It's giving oil and water, similar to how like white sauce. I mean, I guess white sauce kind of goes with meat and stuff, but I just picture like a red sauce with a chicken parm, solely a chicken parm. I think I just have chicken parm on my mind. Maybe I'm in the mood for chicken parm, but like that's not my death row meal. Perhaps that's someone else's. But yeah, linguine alla vongole with what drink would I want? I feel like saying a Diet Coke is very standard. I think I would just want a nice glass of water with some electrolytes. I think that would really hit the spot. Before I go, why don't I stay hydrated? I would hate to be on death row and feel so dehydrated. I want to feel my best. I'm going to stop cosplaying as if I'm on death row because it's getting upsetting. I'm like, my tummy hurts. I'm scared. So yeah, I got food with them at Clinton Street. I'm just connecting all of my podcast guests. I'm like, okay, well, I had the guy who's the head chef and owner of Clinton Street on. So now the next guest I have, we're going to eat at Clinton Street. And then I guess following suit, the next guest that I have on after these two women who created the Foreplay double dating app, I'm going to have us go on the Foreplay double dating app and try to get a date for that night. It kind of, you see the pattern. It's really fun. That would actually be really cool, but I don't feel like doing that. I think we've lost the plot, and that's a lot of That's too much brain power that wouldn't be appreciated. I'm happy to put in the brain power, but like by no means would someone be like, oh my God, I have to listen to that podcast. That's the one where like each one is connected to the other, but in the most forced, unnatural way. Yeah, my friend Dana does that. Why? What's up? Like, I don't want to listen to that and I don't want to do that. But that is funny just because it's making this make sense for right now. But yeah, I had a ton of fun with them. And I don't know, tech is just interesting. It's a world that I guess you either kind of end up there on purpose or by accident. That's like most things in life. But their story was very interesting for that exact reason, that it was pretty on accident. They just had this idea. And it kind of got me thinking, what kind of ideas do everyone else have? Do a lot of people keep their ideas to themselves? When do they come to you? Is it when you're falling asleep at night and it's real quiet and you're like, oh my God, I wish I could start this company. I just don't have the money, the resources, the time, the energy. I think those types of thoughts are so healthy, but then only a very small fraction of people with those thoughts end up executing on them. And that's kind of what deviates them from everyone else. The amount of times that a company's started that people probably say, oh, I actually thought of that before. I just didn't do anything. It means nothing. A lot of people have thought of a lot of things. Like the spiked seltzer industry, I always think about. There was a time when we didn't have spiked seltzer. Life was still kicking. Life was still good. And then the White Claw came. This is such a, not a stupid example, but I think most of my time drinking was spent drinking spiked seltzers, something where you didn't want to have a beer and you didn't want to have a tequila or a vodka. So you had a spiked seltzer. It was really easy transportable. You could bring it anywhere. It stayed cold. You could put it in the can. You could put it over ice. It was really versatile. And then in 2013, the first spiked seltzer came out. And then 2016 is when White Claw, and then 2019 High Noon. And I remember High Noon was so revolutionary, but people are even building on other ideas. Like, okay, this spiked seltzer came out. Someone else was like, how can I make this better? Okay, I can make it less sugary. I can make it with tequila. And it's just really cool, actually, to see the evolution of something like that. And it makes me think of how many other products we don't even know about that are going to be in our lives in the next 1 to 7 years. Probably a lot. You know, I've thought about making a mushroom infused drink because I love mushrooms, and I don't mean like shiitake pussies. I'm like, I just want a mix of a sauteed portobello and some baby bellas. That's a baby portobello. But I start looking into it and these already exist. I'm not the first one to think of a non-alcoholic mixer. I'm not the first one to think about an alternative to kind of listen to the more sober, curious community. But could that be something that I build off of? Maybe there's a different strain of mushroom, or maybe there's a different type of consistency you'd want to try out. Who freaking knows? But the point is, the world is our oyster. And of course you need resources. Of course you need money. But first you need an idea and you need drive. And I do feel like idea plus drive equals something. And I don't know what that something is. But the more you tell people about something, the more I truly believe in manifestation. I'm not the first person to say this. This is, I think, overused. People love to manifest or say that they love to manifest, but manifesting freaking works. And something that is so minute that I had manifested a couple months ago in October. You have to like manifest realistic things and then also unrealistic things. Like, give yourself a break. I had manifested that, or rather I had wrote down as a goal that I wanted to get 2,400 followers on Instagram. I think I had like 2,180 or something that it felt I had to grow a bit. So I started posting every day. And then just this weekend, I hit 2,400 followers. What does that mean? to me, it resembles me setting a goal for myself and me hitting it by working hard and people recognizing me. Me meeting people and encouraging each other to follow each other on Instagram and stay connected. Me doing women on the street interviews, getting their Instagram and then following each other. It's not so much like the number, but it's a goal I had set to myself. And then I set another one after that. Great. You hit it, on to the next one, bitch. Like, now I want to hit 3,000. That's 600 more. That's 600 more people that I need to connect with. And I want to make sure that I'm doing it with substance. I want to make sure that they're following me because maybe they see my content and they connect with it, or we met in person and we had a great experience. Now we follow each other. I would never buy followers. I think that buying followers is something that I'm not really in, like, the social media world. I'm sure I could buy followers. Why would I do that? There's nothing authentic about that. I'm not in it for the number. I'm in it for, like, the quality. It really is quality over quantity, but obviously the number shows in some worlds value, right? Unfortunately, it does. And the more you recognize, the more that number goes up and the more you are sought after as value. It literally reminds me sometimes of that Black Mirror episode when they're ranked in terms of numbers, and it's like their social media score. You can see it when you meet someone. So if I met you on the street and let's say you had a score of 4.2 out of 5, that's what they would then deem as, like, valuable, worth your time. But if someone had a 3, you can't eat at certain restaurants, you can't shop at certain shops. And it was a very dystopian episode and it was scary, but I do think that it reflects real life in a sense where numbers are seen as value. But I think that I'm trying to describe what I mean, where each number to me, I feel like I am making a connection. And I don't know if everyone feels that way. It's hard because, like, yes, I want a certain amount of followers. Okay, well, what does that mean to you? I want a certain amount of people thinking I'm funny. I want a certain amount of people keeping up with my life. Like, what does a follower mean? Do I want all these people knowing what's going on in my life all the time? I don't know. I think I just feel like that's what I'm supposed to want. I'm supposed to want this bigger number. Why? I think for comedy, you want a bigger number so that people would assume that you can put more butts in seats, or that if they put you on their show, you can get more people to come. You're the reason why people want to come see a show. The number is important, but to who is pretty differing, I would say. Like, if I make a new friend, why would I care what their number is? But if I meet someone who, is like a very big comic and I think is so freaking funny, and I see them on stage and I'm like, you just rocked the house, and they have not that many followers, I'm like, that's so crazy. Why wouldn't people be following them? I think social media presence has such a presence in our lives today that, does it equate? What does it equate to? Likability? No, people hate follow. What does a number mean? Oh my gosh. I could talk about this forever. Because I don't get internal gratification from, like, oh, I got another follower. I get gratification from, like, oh, I made this person laugh, or, oh, I just met this person. I met this woman on the street the other day. She told me she liked my shoes. We followed each other on Instagram. I wasn't like, yes, she's following me. I was like, I just had such a fun conversation with this woman and now we're connected. But on the other hand, you're not going to connect with everyone that follows you because you can't. Like, let's say someone has 1 million followers. Are you kidding me? 1 million people? How? But, like, then you're getting recognition, and it's a little sick and twisted, to be honest. But I'm just hoping that I don't lose sight of any of the actual things that matter to me because of a number. But there is value behind it, and I think I don't judge myself based on that number. I'm not like, you're a loser, you only got 2 followers this week. But it is something that I am more aware of because I feel like it makes a difference in the space that I'm in. Followers kind of equals success. And that's just not true. Like, do you see how I go back and forth? I'm contradicting everything that I just say with another point made by the same brain that just said the last thing. It's really hard. It's really hard because social media is fake and it's a highlight reel. But I think that I try to show like realness and not so much a highlight reel. Therefore it's a genuine follow. I can ramble about this forever. Honestly, if you're listening to this, I would love to let me know what you think about this. And what does a follower count mean to you? Does it mean this person's likable? Does it mean this person's videos are funny? Does it mean that this person probably has a lack of a social life, that they're pouring so much into this? Like, what does it mean? What does society tell us? What does society tell us that it means? It equates to brand deals. We can only work with micro influencers. Okay, what determines a micro influencer? How many followers you have? Okay, what if they're a good person? Well, are they influential? How do you deem influence? Oh my God. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And I think that with TikTok going away, I'm curious what's going to happen because I have so much empathy for people who have created their careers on TikTok. You can shit on content creators all you freaking want. They are busting their ass. They are busting their ass because guess what? If it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would do it. And it's such a big funnel starting at the top of people who are making funny videos. And every once in a while, one of them hits and goes like micro viral. I would put myself in that bucket. I made a few videos. They were funny. People connected with them. They reposted. They sent it to their friends. And that's awesome. And then there's people who are taking it a little bit more seriously, where maybe they're putting at least an hour of editing into all of their videos and they're gaining followers based on their content and who they are. And maybe they have a specific niche that they want to belong to, whether it's fashion or food or travel, and they stick to that niche. Okay, that's like the middle section. Then there are the full-fledged content creators that are busting their ass for their followers. These people have upwards, honestly, if someone has over 15,000 followers on TikTok, that is so impressive to me because that means their niche videos spoke to someone. No one has videos that are like so all over the place that they have a consistent audience enough to like gain that amount of traction consistently. I'm picturing specific like New York City influencers that post their like day in the life, this glamorous but real lifestyle content of them waking up, going to the gym, going to the shower, going to work, working out, coming home, seeing friends, going out to dinner. Like, it is very curated. And sure, maybe it's fake. I don't really know how videoing something is fake, but I think that you can make anything look fun. I think that portion can be a little fake. Like, if I'm really having fun somewhere, I can promise you I'm not filming. Like, if I'm really in the moment, I'm not spending time on my phone. I know I'll like take my phone out to take photos or videos to remember it, but it's not for a sole purpose of putting it in my day in the life or putting it towards TikTok content. I think most people would agree with that. I mean, listen, of course, when you're having fun, you're going to record it. I just meant like, I think when I think about a time when I'm having so much fun, my phone is nowhere in sight because I'm having fun with the people. And then I feel like almost the next day I'll be like, fuck, I forgot to take a video. And then you'll find like a random video you took on Snapchat and you're like, thank God. But these people have kind of taken a part of their lives and committed it to film. and committed to editing it, putting it together with music, with voiceovers, and it is so impressive. And brands see this and want to align with them. No duh. They're like, this is gorgeous content and I want to, it fits with my brand. So then they get brand deals. And then from there, they make a fuck ton of money from the followers, from their content, from the work that they put in. If like you will hear me writing for content creators because I don't know what they're going to do. I'm actually really curious what content creators are going to do without TikTok, because the question of what are you going to do without TikTok? To me, it's like I'm going to focus on still doing a video a day if I can and posting it on Instagram. It's not that serious. It's shameless plug, not that deep. I'm going to continue to do what I can and gain traction. I'm not making money from it. I'm making connections from it, kinda. I think that Instagram is a lot more like communal. I don't think there's as many. Let me take that back, actually. I think that Instagram, people are more accessible. People are more accessible on Instagram rather than TikTok. TikTok, you can like be a very normal person and have a username that's like user 5298276C and then just kind of be like a looker. Whereas on Instagram, you could have a Finsta, yeah, but you typically are on Instagram as yourself. And I'm like all over the place. But the reason why I mentioned like user 529, blah, 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 like a lot of people are just kind of onlookers on TikTok and they're engaging with the content by just kind of looking at it. They're not commenters. They're not liking. They don't give a fuck about creating content for themselves. I had posted a video about how you can see when someone views your profile on TikTok, and just like funny people view my profile and they have no idea that I can see it. So I made a video being like, it's crazy that you can see this, blah, blah, blah. Cause I also, not like warning people, but people don't know this, because if they don't make videos, they don't have people viewing their profile. Therefore they don't know this. And it can feel a little bit invasive if you're the one stalking. I mean, everyone stalks to an extent. I stalk on Instagram sometimes, but I stopped stalking on TikTok because I was like, my name is like Dana Joy, or no, it's Big D826. Like, I don't need someone seeing that I'm stalking you. I feel weird. That would be a good time for me to make a Finsta, but I just never did. But my friend texted me and she said, I had no idea that people could see that I viewed their profile. Thank God that I'm user 529X76C. And I was like, yeah, you have no idea, because why would you know? Why would it notify you that you just viewed someone's profile? Like, duh, I know, I clicked on it, bitch. Why would I care? But not everyone wants to know what their like patterns online are, which is super fair. I don't really need that. But yeah, Instagram, like imagine if you could see someone who viewed your profile on Instagram. I think that would change the freaking game, especially for someone who's creating content. Like if someone viewed my profile, and maybe you'd reach out to them and be like, hey, saw you viewed my profile, let's connect. Would I do that? No. But I think Instagram is a lot, what I meant by communal, I meant more like accessible. Like people are a lot more accessible on Instagram. And these people that are huge on TikTok I'm speaking in very broad terms, but they have a following on Instagram and that same content carries, but not everyone wants to follow proudly on Instagram. I think maybe that's it. Like you could just look at someone's content on TikTok and not follow them, or maybe hope that they come up on your For You page. But your feed on Instagram is all people that you follow. So I'm curious if they're going to end up doing like a For You page on your feed for Instagram, because they have the Explore tab, which I guess is kind of like a For You tab. Yeah, it is kind of like For You. Like mine's fully like Bravo and Real Housewives and shit like that. And right now Traders, duh. And then Reels. Are Reels algorithm based? Again, if you're listening to this, can you let me know if Reels are algorithm based? Like, I want to say no, because sometimes I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I'm like, oh my God, is it just my algorithm? You might think you're normal and then your algorithm is so weird. You're not normal. You're weird. And that's okay. It's okay to be weird. But to circle back a little bit, like I'm curious what these content creators are going to do. Cuz also you can edit on TikTok. There's such a wide breadth of things that you can access on TikTok, like music and editing skills and voiceovers. I don't know. Am I losing sleep over what they're going to do? No. Am I curious? Hell yeah. Is there going to be another platform where they basically need to start over? That's sad to me. They worked really hard. And again, like if you're listening to this and you're like, they literally just create content, it's not that big of a deal. No, they have created communities for themselves and for others that whether they actually know these people feel safe and they feel welcome in their page and within their content. And I think it's unfair to say that their job is easy. I'm like, I hashtag stand with influencers because I do. They're important. And this age in marketing, influencers are so important. Podcast hosts, you ever hear a podcast ad? Podcasters are influencers. That's literally my job. My job is to sell basically influencers to hype up your brand, because podcasters, when you listen to a podcast, you are listening because you either trust that person or you like what they're saying. If they're saying go buy Dell, go buy yourself a Dell laptop, you might not realize it right away, but the more you hear that, the more tempted and the more you might be typing in Dell laptop. Maybe there's a promo code. You're going to have more ad recall because of that, because if you heard that voice saying it. Oh, ads don't work on me. Yes, they do. Like, shut up. Yes, they do. They simply do. They work on me. If I hear a podcast ad, sure, I think it's annoying, but how many times have I heard BetterHelp? BetterHelp I've never used before, but I've heard so many podcast ads. If someone's ever like, what's that online therapy thing? BetterHelp. Why? Because I know exactly what it is, because I've heard it said so many times. Am I recommending it? I go on Psychology Today to find a therapist. Not really. I'm not saying you should go on BetterHelp, but if someone is looking for an online, easy access way, I just heard about it. Oh, I just heard about this. BetterHelp. That's advertising working. You might not realize it, but it is. I'm like feeling all feisty. I wanted to bring something else up because we had a really interesting meeting today at work. And what happened, wait, hold on. Okay, hi. I'm so back. My girl Larissa called me. So we had like an organizational culture meeting, and it was technically an all hands, which means like everyone in the company comes. And no one really knew what it was about, but basically I would compare it to like a fireside chat that we would have when we were in a sorority, where you could kind of say anything you wanted based on a prompt. And so the leader opened up the floor and kind of was talking about like, what can we do more to boost company morale, boost company culture. And I think that probably a lot of people share the sentiment that company culture, company morale is pretty low following COVID, but how do you raise it? I think that it's a lot of pressure on like the higher ups to raise company culture, but like it also relies on you. Like you don't need to be given all these opportunities to actually like talk to someone you've never talked to before. People were like, there's so many people in this office that I don't know. And it's like, okay, I feel like you could just go up to them and talk to them. They're like, I feel like we should have, I really like this idea actually. I feel like we should have like a speed dating event almost for people in the office that want to get to know other people in different teams and divisions. And it's not mandatory, but if you wanted to, you should, and you absolutely should. And there was just really good feedback. Like I definitely want to go on the culture board because I'm so passionate about this stuff and bringing people together. And I think that there's a miss on the power of networking and the power of knowing people in your company. Because what if 2 years from now you end up working with them? Someone that you don't know ends up being your boss, but you both have been here for the same amount of time. Like I don't know. I think it's silly not to talk to people. And I get like you come to work, you do your work and you leave and that's fine, but then don't complain that there's no culture because you're not adding to it. And what really bothered me is following this meeting, I was in a group of people and this guy came over and he basically starts bitching about how like he doesn't know people in the office and how like the company should really be doing more to get people together and to have more events where everyone can talk. And I'm literally like, do you know any of the people that you're talking to right now besides me? Like it was this moment of, wait, you know that you could introduce yourself, right? Like he came over and was complaining about this problem, but then was adding to the problem. And I was like, is this satire? It felt like an episode of The Office. He's like, there's no company culture. I don't know anyone's name. And that's that. They should be doing more. And it's like, wait, you could actually ask them their names right now. But he didn't do that. And he didn't want to. And he just wanted to complain. And it was actually so frustrating because I think that's my pet peeve is when people complain about something that they have full control over. And maybe he has social anxiety. Right? Like, I think that that's something that we need to be more cognizant of. If not everyone acts the same in social situations that I do. Speaking for myself, of course, but it just kind of bothered me. Like, if maybe it was because like it was a man talking to a bunch of women that he didn't want to know their names or get to know them, but then was bitching about how this company doesn't allow him to get to know anyone. Like, it just was so woe is me, but then he was actually the problem. And I'm obviously like talking shit about him to like everyone because it bothered me. And like at one point I got a little heated because it's like, this company doesn't do anything. Go grab a couple people and go like to a museum or go to a concert. Like, you don't need structured play dates with your company, with your coworkers to boost company morale. Like, you're not 10 years old. And I think that adults like expect to have these sorts of things, but then they don't actually want them. Like, do you want company morale? Do you want culture? Are these things important to you? Or are you just like a broken record kind of adding to the sentiment that everyone else is sharing? I thought it was very interesting. And like, obviously I'm obsessed with culture. I think it's so important to get to know everyone in the office. But yeah, not everyone feels that way. But also, it's okay if you don't feel that way. But don't pretend like you do so that you have something to complain about. Yeah, that's kind of like my TED Talk today. Also, I met this guy and he was like not at work and he said, yeah, I signed up to do a TED Talk. And I was like, you could do that? Why don't you just do stand-up comedy? It's probably funny. Like, why do you do a TED Talk? I thought that was funny. Anyone can do stand-up comedy. Anyone can do a TED Talk. Guys, you can literally do what you want. You have one life. You're healthy. Take advantage of your opportunities that you have. Like, you can literally do what you want. Do shit that makes you nervous. Do shit that gives you butterflies. And don't complain to complain. I get it. There's stuff to complain about. I complain too. But take a second and be like, is this necessary for me to bitch about? And if you're that guy that came up to me today, the answer is no. You're on my shit list. White men. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for listening. I don't think I was too all over the place, but I think that I was a little crazy. So thank you for following along. And if you didn't follow along, that's totally fine too. I thank you for tuning in for the minute and a half that you did. Most importantly, I hope you find a reason to laugh, to giggle, to make someone else laugh and giggle, and have a great day. And it's not that deep. Bye.